So now you knew that you wanted to be the best. You were seeing all of the best players. You know where the bar was set, and all of this kind of played off of each other.
Yep.
Made you work harder, made you more confident, get you better, and everything.
Yep.
Now you can share whatever you feel open to.
Mm-hmm.
What was the college recruiting process like, and what ultimately made you decide on which school was the right fit for you?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the college recruiting process was hectic.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had over 40 plus offers, but it don't matter.
Yeah.
You know, like, it doesn't matter how many offers you get.
Mm-hmm.
You can only choose one.
Yeah.
You know, but it got hectic. And that comes with all the hard work that we put in. But I grew up a big USC fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was, and for kids who don't know, Alabama now, mm-hmm. that was USC back when I was growing up. Like USC, Reggie Bush,
Yep.
Matt Leinart,
Yep.
Dwayne Jarrett, Mike Williams, Darnell Bing, Taylor Mays, Ray Mauluga, Brian Cushing. Like I can go on and on and on and name all of these guys that I watched growing. Troy was the one who got everybody kind of looking over there, right? But it wasn't until Pete Carroll got there that they became the best. Like USC was the place to be, right? So I grew up a big USC fan, and so USC offered, and it really came down to USC and Notre Dame. That's who it really came down to. I remember I went on my Notre Dame trip around after Thanksgiving, and oh, bro, it was horrible. Like, it was horrible because I wasn't prepared.
Okay.
So you go into Walmart over here, you know, and another thing about Hawaii, you go into Walmart over here, there's no snow jackets. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to make money if you're selling snow jackets in Hawaii because there's no need for them, right?
Yep.
I've been in snow before, but I ain't been over there. You know, being in Detroit, like, over there, it's a different type of cold, right?
Yeah.
So I get over there. I land in Chicago O'Hare Airport. It's right after Thanksgiving, so you know, in that part of the world, it's very, very cold around that time. And I have jean shorts on and a t-shirt. And I was like, oh boy. I opened up the little thing, the window in the airplane, and I saw all the snow piled up. What I didn't understand was the wind in that part of the world. That it's the wind that's gonna get you, right? So that trip, it was the coldest recorded game in Notre Dame history. They played Syracuse. Okay. Yes, Syracuse at that time, who was one of the worst teams in college football. It was their senior game, and Notre Dame lost that game. Oh. They lost that game. I left that game at halftime because I was so cold. Mm-hmm. And so that was my Notre Dame experience. Yeah. You know, it wasn't what you would think a kid from Hawaii would experience. Yeah. It was just different, and I wasn't prepared for it. Mm-hmm. National Signing Day comes. I left for my USC trip the weekend before National Signing Day, which is always at the first Wednesday of February. Mm-hmm. And it's a big recruiting weekend for USC. And man, to be clearly honest, like, that was what I thought a recruiting weekend would be like. Yeah. Okay. Like, yeah, USC, Pete Carroll's there, like, you know, it was amazing. Now, nobody forced me to do like anything illegal recruiting wise, you know what I mean? Like, so nobody did it with all the schools that I went to. Mm-hmm. But I remember before I went to my USC trip, my dad told me, he was like, when you come home, I hadn't committed anywhere. Mm-hmm. I haven't told anybody where I wanted to go, anything like that. Mm-hmm. He said, but when you come home from this USC trip, we're going to talk as a family, and we're going to figure out where you want to go. I said, all right, cool. Mm-hmm. I got home from my USC trip on Sunday. Sunday goes, we're sitting in the living room. My dad was like, all right, where you want to go? And I told him, I'm going to go to USC. He was like, okay, cool. Just like that. Yep. He's like, okay, cool, that's fine, you know. Like, so all right, he looks at my mom. He's like, oh, right, mom, we're going to be USC Trojans, all right, you know what I mean? So we live in Laie, and we drive to Puno every day. Mm-hmm. And my dad told me, he's like, oh, make sure you pray about it. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, cool. I go to school on Monday. On the way back home, my dad said, hey, how's everything going? I was like, I'm good. He was like, you still solid in USC? I was like, yep, still solid. He was like, you pray about it? I was like, nope, not yet. He said, make sure you pray about it. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, cool. Tuesday comes. I'm sitting in English class and we're watching a movie, Dead Poet Society.
You have a good memory.
Oh, because it's
vividly
in my brain.
Yeah.
And so I remember watching Dead Poet Society, and I really wasn't watching the movie, but what I got from it was there's a kid that wanted to be something that everybody else wanted him to do something else. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be a poet or something, mm-hmm. but his dad wanted him to do this. He was just torn, right? Mm-hmm. My parents never forced me to do anything. They never said, "Oh, I think you should go here." But I knew that uncle wanted me to go here. Auntie wanted me to go here. All these coaches wanted me to go to this. So, everybody wanted me to go everywhere else. But I wanted to go to USC. Yep. So I close my eyes and I say a little quick prayer in my class. Mm-hmm. And I just, it's simple. Like, Heavenly Father, mm-hmm. I want to go to USC. Is this the right decision for me? In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Mm-hmm. Now, the time of everything, I don't remember. But all I remember is in that class, after I said my prayer, my phone rings. It's my dad. I'm in class. I don't answer it. Mm-hmm. He leaves a voicemail. And so, like...
yeah.
It's less than 24 hours. So I'm thinking, like, he needs me to, mm-hmm. like, do something for signing day the next day. So, like, I'm, like, in the class and I'm listening. And my dad basically told me, he's like, "Hey, son, just letting you know that Notre Dame coaches just emailed, they just want to wish you luck for tomorrow and know that wherever you go, you'll be successful." Nothing crazy. I said, "Oh, okay, cool, nothing." After class, I went up to the athletic department, the athletic facility, and I walk in with Coach Kale. And Coach Kale's dad, Charlie Ane, mm-hmm. is in the USC Hall of Fame. Okay. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm about to talk SC with Coach, Yeah. And so Coach is like, "All right, where we going tomorrow?" And I told Coach, I'm going to go to USC. And he was happy. He said, "Oh, okay." But, like, it wasn't the type of reaction that I felt like I would get from somebody who had connections to USC. Uh-huh. But, Coach Kale, he's real, he's just real mild, just real chill. Mm-hmm. And so I asked him, I said, "What you think, Coach?" And he jokingly says, "Oh, that's good." He said, "I just thought you'd be a Notre Dame type of guy." Okay. Just jokingly. Yeah. And he probably don't remember that, but that stuck to me. I was like, okay, cool. Right next to him was Mr. Holden. He's the other athletic director over there. And Mr. Holden, I don't know if you know him, Tom Holden, Ohio State mm-hmm. guy, very, very, very lively, very, very energetic, just a great guy. Mm-hmm. He pulls me into his office and he's like, "Where we going tomorrow, man?" And I told, "Oh, Mr. Holden, I'm going to go to USC." He's like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "Man, that's huge." He's like, "Congratulations." He's like, who was it down to?" I was like, I was always a USC fan, but, if anybody else, probably like USC or Notre Dame, I kind of just thought, I was like, USC or Notre Dame. He's like, "Man." He's like, "You ever heard of the Notre Dame alumni?" He's like, "Man, they're everywhere. Like that Notre Dame alumni, like, bro, it is crazy." He's like, "Oh, but USC got a good Notre Dame, a good alumni program too." And I'm like, "All right, yeah, thanks, Mr. Holden." He's like, "Man, I'm excited for you. Your coach is like, yeah, I leave." The last area I went into is Uncle Gary Satterwhite. And Uncle Gary Satterwhite is like a father figure to me. Mm-hmm. And somebody that he's always been there for me since Puno. And I walk into, he is a track coach at Puno, and he was in the building, and I walk into the room and I sit on the couch, and Uncle Gary says, he was like, "Where we going, nephew?" And I told him, I opened up to Uncle Gary. Yeah. I said, Unc, man, I think I'm going to go to USC, but like I just talked to, Coach Kale and Coach Holden, and like, they talking about, Notre Dame and all of that stuff. And Uncle Gary told me, he was like, you're gonna go to USC. He said you're gonna go. He said, "You're gonna go to USC." He's like, "And you're gonna be the next great Junior Seau, mm-hmm. the next Troy Polamalu, the next Ray Maulunga." Mm-hmm. He's like, "I just always thought you'd go to a place like Notre Dame and be the only Manti Te'o." Mm-hmm. And that, ding! Yeah. I left the athletic department, and it was almost like I got hit. God telling me, like, "I just gave you your answer." Yeah. And so Dad comes to me to pick me up from school. We're on our way home to Laie, and we're passing Kahalu, and my dad is like, "Okay, like we're gonna tomorrow I got the hats, you know, we're gonna put the USC hat here, and you know, we're gonna do this. And I remember we just passed the 7-Eleven in Kahalu, going over the little bridge, and I was like, I'm not going to USC. And he just pulls over. He's like, what? And I'm like, and I said this because, you know, it was hard for me. I did not want to go to Notre Dame. I wanted to go to USC. I was like, yeah, I ain't going. He's like, where you going? I was like, I'm gonna go to Notre Dame. And he just smiled and he nodded his head and he's like, you prayed about it, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I did, unfortunately.
But so on your signing day, did you have both hats out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They was out there, bro.
Yeah.
And I kept like, I remember the Notre Dame one, I believe, was on my right, and I remember I kept like.
So no one knew because
Nobody
this was
knew.
the day before. Yeah.
Bro, I called every college to say thank you, but no thank you. I'm glad that we did that. You know, that was just another thing that I felt my parents instilled in me to always show that type of love and respect and appreciation. So I called everyone, all 40 plus that offered me. I called them and said, hey, thank you, but no thank you. And it came so close that USC, I called the morning of.
Yeah.
So when we left USC, when we left the house to go to, we signed at the
Sheraton or
the
something?
Sheraton or Blaisdell, one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, no, the Blaisdell.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're over there and I'm on the phone from the time we left La Ie all the way till I walked into the building. Like we're at the over there at that until I walked into the room to sign, and I'm talking to Coach Pete Carroll and I'm talking to Ken Noren, and they're like, "What? Like, how you're not gonna turn that program around?" And I'm like, "I know." I know, but I didn't tell them that. I was like, "Oh, thank you, Coach. Thank you, I appreciate it." I just kept saying, "Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, I appreciate it." And they're like, "Oh, you're making the biggest mistake." And me as a USC fan, I was like, oh, "Come on, make this easy for me, bruh." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, "I gotta go." I give the phone to my mom. I think Coach said something to my mom, and my mom got mad. And this is the last time, like, I have never seen my mom that mad. She was like, "Thanks," and she hangs up the phone and she was like, "I want you to kill USC every year you play them.
Yeah.
Get in there." And so I went in there, and I remember I signed that letter of intent, and 4 years later, bro, I cannot tell you how glad I am. You know, and I'm a big believer in prayer, because that was the only way that I was gonna make that decision, right? And so that's how I made it.
I mean, it's great to hear the story because, you know, we don't know what goes on. This is like a private thing between you and your family and all of the thought and the process and everything that goes into it. But, you know, I mean, the whole nation saw what you did to that program. I mean, it made Hawaii very proud. And I mean, sometimes it's really, there's no other way to explain it. You know, it's just God's way and the path that he has for you, that certain things play out even that week of to make you like reconsider, like you know, every conversation you had going down the Puno athletic department started to think, am I making the right decision? And then, you know, if you never had that, if you never even walked up to talk to all of them, you would have been at USC, and who knows, I mean, you still would have been successful, but the path would have been different.